What are some of the things that guys lie about to try and appear better than they are on a date with women?
So again, I think this is like me speaking in 40s, and I'll try and remember back a couple of decades back. But now, currently, kids. I had one man actually lie about having children.
What?
Yes. And not even just lie.
Do you not think she's going to find out at some point?
But this is amazing. So not even just lie, like made this huge sorrowful story about how him and his ex-wife, who turned out wasn't that much of an ex-wife as well. They'd had all these failed rounds of IVF, and it was so sad. And you're like, oh, that is really sad. That's really awful. And that was the reason that they broke up and they couldn't have children. And I've got lots of friends that are in that space, right? Who are struggling with fertility. And so it's very real and it's hugely sad.
Yes.
And you can really see how that would put a massive strain in relationship. And so, you're like, right, okay. And then, I knew something was off, so I didn't really go out. I think I went out with him twice to dinner, and it was just something wasn't quite right. And trust your intuition as well. So something wasn't quite right.
Yes.
And then I've got something I must tell you. I've got something I must tell you. I'm like, here we go. Like, and he was like, oh, I actually do have 2 children. Then he went, and I really like them. One would hope so. I mean, but the strangest thing for me, and I said this, I'm like, but I'm a mother. Like, I'm a mother. It's not going to be, that would absolutely not be a showstopper for me. If anything, I wouldn't actually probably want to date a man that doesn't have kids. I think there needs to be an element of understanding. And, my commitment is with her. That for me, I think there's just sort of some more common ground and
you're more on a
understanding.
similar frequency.
Yeah, because my time it needs to go to her as a priority.
Yes.
And again, I have dated some guys that don't have children, and not to say it wouldn't ever work, but the men that I personally have dated that don't have children, they cannot be my priority in relationship. And I think there's maybe a little bit of just disconnect there. So yes, that was one excellent lie. Wow. Oh my God, steroid use, drug use. There's a lot of stuff. I'd say that's probably the youngest stuff.
And the thing is, I do hear this from women where they find out that a guy has lied about something significant, like kids, like income,
being married,
like
being married,
and stuff like that. And I think that almost shows, I think, where his intentions lie. Because I think if he's looking at a woman, he's going, okay, I actually see a future with you. Then he knows at some point you're going to find out what the truth is. So I think, is there an element of a guy lying about something significant? Could that be a sign that he's just looking for something short term?
So I have like a sort of 2-pronged theory on this. I think that we know the number one fear is rejection.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of reason that men and women are not, why are people not approaching us in bars anymore? We're so afraid of being rejected. And, if you try to, so it's someone like approaching me and then I'm shy and standoffish and cold. It's like,
of course,
I know I don't always have the most open, like, come and talk to me, like vibe that I give off.
Yeah, of course.
Because I get approached a lot and they are always married. Always.
I've heard this before.
Now, my fan theory that I've sort of working on around rejection, there's no risk because you're probably quite unhappy in your marriage because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing and you're wildly disrespecting your wife.
Yes.
Now, whatever the situation may be, and she may be the most wicked witch ever, but you're still there, right? For whatever reason. You're not available. You're not emotionally available. You're not actually single. So you approaching women, doesn't matter if I reject you or not.
Because he still has a relationship to fall on.
Correct. So there's not the same drop. It's like, I was just trying my luck, chancing my arm.
Yeah, it's like, I'm chancing for something extracurricular, not she's rejecting me, she's rejecting my potential to have a future family or something.
Now, if it happened to work out, and I do think there are a lot of people out there that look for I'm unhappy where I am, so it's better for me to find something else to jump to rather than work on myself, rather than being alone. People are very, very afraid of being alone with themselves. Totally different to being lonely.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people use dating, sex, relationship as a way of band-aiding and also validation. Again, everything to avoid being alone with yourself.
So true.
My theory on the people that are in relationship, absolutely, people are chancing it, because kind of, I think there's a bit of ego. I think there's a bit of, can I still do that?
Have I still got it?
Yeah.
Have I still got it?
I think there's a little bit of that, definitely. But the people that are in relationship and are unhappy, I think they're approaching other people because they've got this backup. They're not really being rejected. They're not really failing.
Yeah. Also, there's also this other element of, and that this doesn't condone it, but there's also this other element. I hear this, and have I found this? Yeah, I found this myself and from guys all the time, where the second they're in a relationship, suddenly women come out the woodworks. It's like they're just more attractive. What is that?
So obviously it happens both ways. I think there is me and the girls talk about it all the time, and female clients and things like that. I think there is an element of, can I? Will they still respond? Will they still respond to me?
So is that more of a validation for the
power
woman?
kick,
Right.
like a little ego boost in there? Like, will they still, I know they're in relationship,
yes,
but I'm going to just drop a text in. Will they reply? There's like so many times that maybe it's been ignored, and then you get them to bite. Like a friend of mine had this recently, childhood sweetheart. They dated for a really long time. And then obviously like sliding doors moments, were in different relationships and marriages and those sorts of things. Have ended up kind of back at a similar point.
Yes.
He has pursued her relentlessly for years. And I really do mean like 20 odd years. Okay. Wow. Messaging. She kind of wasn't replying at all. Ended up saying like, okay, do you know what? We can just be friends. We've got a long history, blah, blah, blah. Oh my goodness. Great. Thinks the door's open, calling her. I mean, like a bit mad, like, kind of, oh, this is so exciting. I can't believe it. Finally. And she's like, oh, all right, well, you seem to think there's something amazing here. Like maybe I should be open to this.
Yes.
As soon as she did that, literally nothing.
Oh, he was like,
ghost.
Really?
Yeah.
And she hadn't heard from him since?
No. I mean, obviously I've been like, block him.
Yeah.
Block him.
Wow.
Yep. And I think in that one, it's I don't necessarily want you. I'm maybe even in another relationship, but we've got all this history and I want to know that I could if I wanted to.
It's almost like he wanted to gain the power that she probably had in the beginning, when he was approaching her and she's like, I'm not really feeling this. And now years have gone by and he's like, now I'm almost rejecting you. Interesting. How much do you think people do date from a place of wanting to have leverage, wanting to have the power?
I think quite a lot, actually. And I don't necessarily think that's like Machiavelli or manipulative in intention. I think a lot of that comes from insecurity.
Yes.
So you could say, well, that in itself is manipulative if you're consciously doing it for that.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are very, very insecure and have not done work on themselves to find a place of security, again, in the self. And I'll bang on about this, but like truly being all right on your own. Okay.
Yes.
And it's very different to being like, love yourself first. And, I believe in the power of relationship and connection. Our lives are richer for it.
Amen.
And I really do agree to that. But I also know that you have to get to a place where your benchmark is high enough that you don't accept anything less than. So it has to be, you have to add to my life. You have to add to my already good life. I can't be looking for a relationship because I don't feel financially secure, or I can't be looking to a relationship because I feel unattractive, or, I'm lonely. I haven't got any friendships that I haven't nurtured, because I lose myself in every relationship I go into. So I better get another relationship because I haven't got a social life. Like those are not good reasons, you know? So that's what I mean when I talk about, are you, happy alone? But yeah, I think a lot of people are maybe in one of those situations I've just listed. I'm unhappy in my job. Oh, there's this guy and he's got this like, we could move to Dubai, or like there's something like that. And that would get me out of this horrible job. Or this person's got this brilliant social life and all these great connections.
It's like the lifestyle that this person can bring for them.
It's a piece of you that's missing that you haven't yet addressed or worked on for yourself, that I think we want to almost outsource to relationship and to a partner. And then obviously what happens is that's unequal. It's like me kind of going full circle back. But the reason I want to try and even say that I can be quite shy and be open at the beginning is I don't want to be masking parts of me and literally setting off on the wrong foot.
Yes. Yeah, because it's not sustainable long term if you're trying to show up as something that you're not.
Yeah.
One thing you touched on, which I think is really interesting about the bar, the standard, and tell me what you think. I think that for a lot of women, I think the standard of men that they want, I always say there's caliber versus quality. The caliber of man is his status, economic position, his influence, etc. The quality of a man is his character. Is he generous with his time? Does he show real intention? Does he show real investment? Is he considerate? All of that things. You can have a guy who's very high caliber, but very low quality. And equally, you can have a guy who's maybe on the low caliber side, but very high quality. I think for a lot of women, I think their standards for the caliber of men that they want has come up here. But because he's so hard to find, when they do find that, they accept the quality down here in terms of his level of investment, in terms of what they're willing to accept from this man. And so when you talk about the standard, what are you referring to if I'm talking about those two paradigms?
So and I completely agree with what you said, and I love how you phrased that. It made me think, have you seen the Crazy Hot Matrix? You ever seen that? We'll have to link it. So it's a very funny old clip about basically it's hilarious. I'll send it to you. It's like a finance dudes thing, but it's old fashioned. And they do it so it's about guys, what they're looking for in a woman.
Yes.
So, if she's like a 10 out of 10 hot, she's like a 10 crazy.
Oh, I think I have.
Crazy hot.
Is it older white bald guy?
Yeah, it's
glasses.
funny.
I have seen that.
But they do it the other way around. He does it for women about what they're looking for in a man. You're either wealthy or attractive. It's like the caliber. It reminded me of that. We'll have to link it. It's funny.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
So what it makes, so I love what you're saying. And I think what's interesting is it's like I always say the pendulum always swings. So if let's give an example. I'm in a really crappy job that I hate. I've had a succession of shitty relationships. I feel like my entire peer group are moving ahead of me. So my friends are getting married, moving in together. She's got a nice boyfriend with a nice car.
Yes.
Things are getting easier all around me. And here's me. And I'm like, well, this isn't working out as I thought it would. And I don't feel I've got the energy, maybe I'm low on joy and happiness in a few other areas. And again, rather than wanting to do it myself and accepting that my paths may be a bit different and potentially a bit harder or going in a slightly different direction, I want to outsource my joy to you. And so I'm probably going to pick someone, snakes and ladders, who's going to take me from 2 to 100 quicker. Right. In that moment, am I choosing if you're going to be kind to my heart and consistent and not lie to me? Or am I like, I want the BMW and the, and the big diamond and everything else? Let's be honest here. Maybe I'm thinking, well, you're an easy, I like you. And we've got this tick, tick, tick. I'm thinking again to being 20s when there's a lot of pressure on we've been together for 18 months. So now's the time, everyone else is doing it. We might as well. And on paper, it's a really good fit. So, but as you say, that person can be quite empty on like what I would say more of a soul connection. And all I can tell you is, as a woman who's divorced and in her 40s and has clients all the time and everything else, and my ex and I get on very, very well and we co-parent beautifully, thank goodness. But the plans that you're making on, the factors that you're trying to click together at that time in life do not serve you moving forward. And any differences that you may have in exactly those categories, like, are you going to care for my heart? How do you show up for me? What space do you hold for me? How do we communicate?
Yes.
How do we connect?
100%.
You put life in there and life happens. Children, death, changes, job, anything like that. Any tiny difference of yours is a magnifying glass goes on that. So it might be great that you had stuff, but that ain't going to see you through when life happens.
100%. And I think especially because human beings, we always acclimatize to our environments. So it's like buying a new car. When you buy that new car, you're like, I'll drive anywhere, anytime, because I want to show this new car off. I'm feeling good in it. 8 months down the line, you still like your car, but you're not just going to run to the shops to get some breads just so you can drive. Do you know what I mean? So we always acclimatize to our lifestyle. And then I think what happens or what can happen is, I don't know, maybe a woman has chosen a guy because he is of that caliber. But then once she's acclimatized, that's when all the other things that maybe were there or weren't there just become very present and very prevalent and focus of the relationship for her, because she's used to being in the house and the cars and going to these certain events and stuff like that.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.